just like that. All right, now we can begin our program. Now we can go for broadcast excellence, as El Rushbo used to say. And so, and now we will on this. Uh, Let me just check one more thing. Okay, and now we're good to go. All right, good. There we are. And folks, again, I apologize that we have a little bit of a delay, but this is and it's an important show, and there's some things that I want to touch on and hit on. Um, and what's also really interesting to me, as we just let the FB crowd file in, is I have been, as some of you may or may not know, but you can check out depetro.com. We have all the video up, and obviously, I started the program Cranston PD Live, and it is and this is the noon report. But one of the things that we have talked about, and I've talked about, is we have all the different police departments. And don't get me wrong, I like to think I enjoy a good relationship with many of our police forces here in our area, really everywhere, but especially the ones I deal with in our area. But there's just something about Cranston, and it's about the leadership, and it's about how they interact with the people that they serve. One thing I'll say about Cranston, it's never lost on them who it is that they're supposed to protect and serve. And one of the best examples that I've used in the past was during summer 2020 when we watched Providence being decimated with a mayor who didn't know what to do and told his police to stand down. And watching all the riots and the Black Lives Matter problems where they have destroyed Federal Hill. The city still has not recovered from the riots of summer 2020. Cranston made, and I covered it live, a loud statement where the city of Cranston and their law enforcement said, no, you're not coming in here to cause a riot and destroy our city. And it was right on Elmwood Avenue. And I called it, they set up the Cranston line. They even brought in DPW plow trucks. No, you're not coming in here you're not here to protest. You're here to destroy things. And boom, and that changed the narrative, and it drove them back into Providence. And as I covered it, and then that week on that Friday night was a completely different tactic where Providence, boom, started to push back. As I was there. The Black Lives Matter protesters were ready to go up on Federal Hill where people were on the sidewalk and they were eating outside because it was the pandemic. And they were going to flip tables and just destroy and smash windows. And Providence police then wouldn't allow it and stand up to them. So, but I want to touch on this situation with this councilman, Matt Riley, and who has now resigned. I'm not angry because he's put himself in an indefensible position. But I do want to draw out some of you that are blindly showing me and sending me articles from Go Local Fraud. Listen, don't stop sending me that stuff. They're the same. Why do you think they're going after him? Why do you think they're going after him so aggressively? Because he's a Republican. Like, wake up. Some of you need to wake up. This portion of the program is brought to you by PR Landscape Materials and Garden Center. Folks, on this, now we have some rain coming on Saturday. The weather definitely has cooled off, but stop by and see them. They're open 7 days a week. It's PR Landscape Materials and Garden Center. So right now at 12:13, I have not heard from my friend Roberta Farrell. I believe that everything is fine, but we usually have a system where she lets me know that the sound is okay. But folks, PR Landscape Materials in Garden Center, especially right now, vegetables and herbs, annuals, perennials, hangers, 10-inch, 12-inch moss baskets, 12-inch patio pots. It's PR Landscape Materials in Garden Center, where they also have tropical hibiscus mandevilla plants. They are open 7 days a week, family-run business, and they grind it. Stop in and see them. My friends Steve and Debbie and Junior and Byron, they run a great Facebook page. Folks, it's PR Landscape Materials and Garden Center. Look for them on Facebook, 3688 Quaker Lane in North Kingstown. Now, excuse me, if you log on to the website, depetro.com, where you can see all the original story and video. Okay, so I do have the body cam video that Cranston Police put out yesterday. Cranston Police put out yesterday. Today is Thursday. This incident with the councilman happened on Monday. Cranston Police put it out Wednesday. That is a record time locally for putting out body cam video. And tomorrow night, Cranston PD Live, 8 to 10 tomorrow night, right here on the Facebook page. But check out depetro.com, which is brought by the Coesit Inn, 226 Coesit Avenue in West Warwick. Lunch, dinner, or drinks in the lounge. They are waiting for you at the Coesit Inn. But I want to, for all these people that are all excited, and the media's gone after Matt Riley, I want to be very clear. Listen, Matt Riley, the councilman in Cranston, who I believe, don't be so blind. There's so many of you that mimic and watch Newsmax and Fox News Channel. And then what they do is then people then just parrot what they hear. But the problem is, in reality, if they don't have the talking points, they're not given the script. Last night, there was someone, as we were on the scene live stream, there was someone that came into the chat that I'm told, I didn't see it because we're live, right? Who is rude, who doesn't offer anything. I just wish Roberta had just banned that person from. I mean, that's what I would have done, right? Well, I thought it was a friend of yours. Well, a friend of mine wouldn't be rude to people. No, but that is someone, as an example. There's no original thought, right? They don't have any original thoughts. They just parrot what they're told, and when they're not told something, then they don't know what to say. But this example with Matt Riley, the councilman in Cranston, and you can see it. But let's just break it down and look at the reaction and how aggressively the media is going after him. Now, next door, the city of Warwick. Let's just compare the two. They're both recent. You had school committee person, Karen Backus, Poopy Pants, who nailed on a DUI all over the road in front of Warwick City Hall, belligerent with police, has an accident in the back of the police car, and then gets charged assaulting a police officer back at the police station. And just this week, charges dropped. That is asinine. I mean, the people of Warwick, because this is a Warwick problem. The people of Warwick should be going after their mayor and the city council. That Karen Backus, a DUI, and then arresting and assaulting a police officer. Let's just compare the two. Now, I get right now, this is a pile-on. And Matt Riley is a white male, and he's straight. And what happened? He was in a parking lot on Pontiac Avenue of a I believe a hair salon, which a lot of them are closed on Mondays, so it was the only vehicle there. And whatever happened, he then, but they did wake him up. He didn't need Narcan. So it either hit him and he dozed off or whatever happened. Okay. And clearly under the influence. But he wasn't driving. He didn't punch the police. He was cooperating with the police. But look at, and he, there's a lot that comes out of that body cam video, which I'm going to play. And I am glad that Commander Todd Padalano, who's a friend of mine, who is a great police officer. I like that everyone gets to see what a great police officer he is. I am happy. And folks, keep in mind, this was, they're new with the body cams. So, it's happening in real time. This isn't scripted. No one's writing it out for him. And he gives Matt Riley, someone who's really low, and he's compassionate, he's considerate, And I'm not even going to get into the fact, like it does annoy me that, and I want to be careful how I phrase this because I am friendly with them, the Fungs, but I was dismayed that my friend, Representative Barbary and Fenton Fung, was so quick to say Matt Riley had to resign along with the Democrat city council members. And listen, I'm not living in a cave here, right? I'm just saying, there's just certain situations. The guy's got a crack pipe in his hand and he's passed out. Car wasn't running, but he's in a parking lot on Pontiac Avenue. So I'm not saying he shouldn't. I'm just talking about, like, where is that towards Bacchus, right? How come the media is not going after Bacchus so much? If you look at the damage, he cooperated with police, Matt Riley. He wasn't harming anyone. The car wasn't running. If he may have overdosed, he may not have. He may have woken up. He woke up pretty quickly when the police were there. But she could have killed someone, Bacchus. And then she went and assaulted a police officer. And no one will say anything about it. So, but I think it's interesting. Well, I don't want to go down that road. There was a time that Todd Catalano, he's not a he's a great police officer, folks. The reason yesterday I went to the ceremony is not only do I like them and get along with, I admire them. They are dedicated. I mean, that is right now, the mayor of Cranston, always working with his police force. I think it's tough to pair someone else up against them. But now I want to play for you what's not being accounted for is the manner in which Commander Padalano, and by the way, the story did make the New York Post, but the manner in real time of how he reacted and handled the situation. And I want to just give a good example. It's how you judge people, how they're acting in real time. Let's go back to primary night, right? What did Governor McKee say when they said Helena Folks was on the phone? In real time. No chance to prepare, no chance to have a meeting, no one, doing talking points. Eva, hang up on her. And by the way, I saw Eva Mancuso yesterday. So she doesn't acknowledge me because I gave her a hard time about the Eva, but I can live with it. Hey, she's the one working with Governor McGreed. But I'm going to play for you the audio of Commander Padalano in real time with the body cam going. And then that's brand new. Those of you that have followed Cranston PD Live, that's new that they have them. So, and they're still adjusting to them. But the manner right there without having a meeting or anything, it also shows the chief of police in Cranston, who I have tremendous admiration for and I'm fond of him, Chief Winkhurst, how the trust and confidence he has in his staff. So I'm going to play the Padalano clip, but folks, don't fall for this. This is a pile-on Matt Riley. And for many of you out there, number one, stop sending me these stupid articles like I don't know what's printed out there. God, that's number one. Number two, why don't you start to question some of them? Why aren't they covering Bacchus? Oh, it's just annoying. It's just annoying. I'm not in an angry mood. I'm not. I should be in good spirits, but I'm annoyed at that because I hate this is a complete pile on Matt Riley. And I do think it's a double standard when it came to Bacchus. Yeah, I do think that. And I think the fact that Warwick dropped the DUI charge and dropped the assaulting the police officer, that's because she's, quote, a state worker and she's on the Warwick School Committee. So, I have a problem with the political posturing as they're kicking Matt Riley, into the ground. And I'm going to play the Padalano cut because I'm happy for him because I know him. And he has so much of my respect and admiration. Todd Padalano, the commander in Cranston, I mean, the guy is the real deal. In a state full of clowns, folks, you could learn a lot the way they run things in the city of Cranston. And I don't just say that because I grew up there. I grew up in Edgewood. Still have a lot of friends there. But that was there's a lot of ways that could have been treated. If anything, in some other districts, some other areas, they probably would have been looking for a way to let them out of it. Look what they did. I admire and I respect the Warwick police. They did their job. I also want to say the Warwick police showing up at that Charlotte vigil on Tuesday night. That was another big. They didn't have to be there. 4 detectives, and I told that to Captain McNiff. Folks, we have good law enforcement here in this state. We do. We're fortunate. They're dedicated. They've been beat up. And don't ever think the local media is not against them, because they are. That hit piece on the chief of police of Providence. It's like Cicilline's brother went to federal blanking prison. And it was like people were making excuses for him. The bias is real. But this portion of the program on this Thursday, it's brought to you by AtMed Urgent Care. Now remember, 2 locations, all your medical needs. 1524 Atwood Avenue in Johnston, 5750 Post Road, East Greenwich. AtMed Urgent Care. When you need urgent care, you can depend on AtMed Urgent Care. They are cost-efficient healthcare alternative to hospital-based emergencies. They have doctors and nurses. You don't have the wait time. AtMed Urgent Care. 2 locations, 5750 Post Road, East Greenwich, right across from Felicia's, and 1524 Atwood Avenue in Johnston in the Atwood Medical Center. It's AtMed Urgent Care. All right, I want to play for you Commander Todd Padalano, who, admittedly, hey, listen, the guy is just terrific. You really saw those of you, and again, everybody, good afternoon at 12:26. I don't want to sound like I'm angry. I'm not. But when some of you just start falling for all this, I mean, we know that there's a double standard when it comes to how certain people are treated. And we have other examples of it. And I'm not saying it's all on par. I'm not saying every crime is the same. I'm not. And I get the whole, hey, listen, I said from the beginning, the problem with Councilman Matt Riley in Cranston is DUI is a relatable crime. How many people had a drink last night? How many people will have a drink tonight? How many people will have a drink tomorrow night? Crack pipe is Chris Rock in New Jack City. Crack pipe is the Robert Downey character in Less Than Zero. I mean, the crack pipe goes to another, when they're going through with the body cam. And by the way, you can see the body cam videos. I do have them on depetro.com. I edited some of them, not all of them. It's long. And it's also on the YouTube channel. But that's one of those things I think it crosses over like, wow. I mean, that's the problem. They're doing crack. But it is that so many people just fall for it. And I'll tell you why you fall for it. Because you don't have Newsmax to tell, because they're not talking about the story. You don't have Fox. So the same people that just parrot all of the stuff, they just the same regurgitate script. But they don't even realize it's kind of akin to, it's the same crowd. And I know it sounds like I'm complaining here, but it's the same people that they don't even make a noise when locally they found out that there was voter fraud. People were voting twice in the Rhode Island elections. But I realize the reason they don't say anything is because it wasn't on Fox. The reason they don't say anything is because it wasn't on Newsmax. So they don't have the script that they're supposed to say. They'll regurgitate the 2000 Mules movie because, Sebastian Gorka and Newsmax, and they lay it out for them. But you're talking about real media bias. They're going after them, much like in New York. Why did they arrest that? That was a white male Marine. Boom! Charging with murder the guy in the subway. Would they do that if, okay, let's make him not white. Let's make him not a Marine. Let's have Kid Rock not support him. And let's make him trans. and let's make him, not Caucasian. And then, then there would be no charges. So I am telling you, part of the media bias and attack on Matt Riley is because he's a white male, straight, who also happens to be a Republican. But you don't even see it. But I get why. Because it's not mapped out for you. But I'm telling you, they wouldn't be going so aggressively. A good example, I just want to finish, and I know it's not on par, and I know it's not perfect. I put out that caveat to begin with. But it was last 4th of July. The twerking state senator, Tiara Mack, twerking on Block Island. No one, that became a national story that exploded. Tucker was doing it. Everyone was doing that. Her TikTok, the whole thing. No one local, no one went and knocked on her door. When she finally did an interview with Channel 12, they gave her until Friday afternoon to get the right outfit and get the right set of talking points. And she started conversations by doing that. She was being praised. How come Matt Riley's not a victim? We're about to have safe injection centers in this state. How many people have been saying the homeless, they're victims? They're victims. They're drug addicts. No, how dare you? We have to help them. There's no nurturing of that. Bob Ran Fenton Fung, he needs to resign. All right, let's make him homeless with the crack pipe. Are you still going out? Oh, no. Well, now we want to help him. Folks, it doesn't make sense, but I am telling you, part of the reason they're going after him is just because of that. But I want to play for you. This is also the type of thing. Channel 12 did a pretty rough piece on the new police chief in Providence, Chief Perez, who I like, and I get along with, and I respect the chief. Thought it was a pretty rough piece on him. I fully get if a police officer goes the wrong way. Hey, many times the news outlets, they love to go after, whether it's nationally or locally, if there's some police officer that makes some kind of a mistake. They love to go after him. But I want you to listen to, now this is on depetro.com, and it is on my YouTube channel, but it's some of the body cam video of the Cranston police. But I want to go to the part where Commander Todd Padalano, so he's the number 2 in Cranston, and this is their body cam video. And what are they going to do? They asked him, do you have drugs in the car? Matt Riley said no. He did have drugs in the car. So he's got crack. He's got fentanyl. He's a city member of the city council. This isn't, and by the way, but I'm not knocking Warwick because Warwick arrested Bacchus. It was the system that let her out. But you can see that Councilman Riley is standing there and he's handcuffed. And he knows he's on the city council and he's been a police supporter. And he's standing there with Commander Padalano. And you can tell he's kind of looking for him to cut him a break. So I want you to listen to this exchange. He said, do you have anything in your pockets? You can see there's crack dust everywhere. His mother was going to come and get the car. He's trying to say, you don't know what's in that. Hundred rocks, crack.
We're all in a tough spot, but we gotta do what we gotta do right by the young listener. It'll help you in the end. Believe me when I tell you. They'll say to us a month from now, the best thing that ever happened. That's what they all tell us. Can't go down this road anymore. No, they're really fine. That's terrible. No, I got 17. No, just get on a program, right? No, I don't think you're not the Matt Riley that we know. And I'm not into listen, Spencer, your health and your well-being is worth way more than any political. I don't care.
You think about that. That is someone at rock bottom. And that is Major Todd Padalano, Cranston Police. If you're you don't even have to be a Cranston resident. Folks, that's leadership. And again, good afternoon. I realize the audio is not. I have the videos posted and I have captions there. But you're talking about someone at rock bottom, and what he's doing is Matt Riley, former city councilman who's resigned, but he is trying to say that now this was Monday the 15th. He's trying to say on Wednesday the 17th he has supposedly an appointment with a counselor. So he's trying to get them to let him go. And you hear Major Padalano say, listen, it's a bad situation. I mean, you hear what he said. It's not worth your political career. In a month from now, you got to get in a program. This is not you. You got to get out of it. I mean, you hear firm compassion is what you hear with that. He's compassionate, right? If you're watching on Facebook, you should do a thumbs up. I mean, that's what we're talking about policing. The progressives, they don't like it. The progressives, I don't know even how they would react to it. But he is firm. We're doing it by the numbers. I'm not, you need help. We're not gonna, we're gonna follow the law here. And the law is you're getting arrested for it. And you were passed out. You could have died. Firm, but compassionate, little bit of a pep talk, right? That's not you. He's not, reading them the riot act like you're no good. That's not you. That's not the Matt Riley we know. You don't want to lose your life. You have 2 young children. This is a tough spot. This is a tough situation. He doesn't try to cloud it. This is bad all the way around. But we're going to go by the numbers. You are being arrested and you need to get help. Now that is solid, unscripted, solid policing. That's leadership. What message also do you think that sends to the rest of the force? To me, that is like a textbook. That's something a police academy should show. Here's how you handle a situation. And folks, forgive me if it sounds like I'm going overboard, but it's so refreshing that he shows compassion, but they're going to hold him accountable. It is the opposite of what Governor McKee and the lack of leadership in this state. It's not your imagination. Now, folks, good afternoon at 12:38. You're listening to the John DePetro Show on AM 1380 and 99.9 FM. Listen, it's not your imagination. The lack of leadership in the state right now it's so broken, and there's no accountability. And the leaders at the state house, at every beck and whim, they jump to whatever the progressives want. And again, I don't want to go down the road, but it's so refreshing. Think of Governor McKee and his, goon Tony Silva and trying to shake people down with the wetlands deal. And he's the chief of staff, and then they're going after Nerona. What I like about that, the message is it is one of compassion. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. This is a tough what you're going through right now, right? They're not making him feel worse. But they're not going to let him out of the deal. He's going to be held accountable. That's what you need. And I go back and forth. I want to just mention something because I was in the car earlier, and I'm going to tell you something I did hear down the dial on the radio, and it's just worth straightening out. It's part of a false narrative that people continue to put out, and it has to do with the homeless. Folks, this portion of the program is brought to you by Falcon Pest Services. Call today 401 739 1322. 401 739 1322. Falcon Pest Services. It's really simple on this Thursday. Do you need an exterminator? Why not call them? Free quote 401 739 1322. Falcon Pest Services. Home or business. Termites, bedbugs, ants, roaches, mice, rats, mosquitoes. Maybe it's once a year. Maybe it's once a month. Maybe it's once a quarter. Falcon Pest Services. Call today 401 739 1322. 401 739 1322. Look for them on Facebook. It's Falcon Pest Services. And I recognize the homeless thing continues to be an issue. And I think I've been pretty clear. I don't think we should use that term because we are people that are demanding free housing. They choose not to work. It's not a matter of Section 8 housing. Many of them have some kind of income, disability. Someone we interviewed last spring, she got some bogus disability. It's not a lot. It's like 1,200 a month. But the problem is then they won't work because if they work, they're afraid they're going to lose the 1,200 disability. So you have people that they do use drugs, they use alcohol, but they don't want to work. And now you have people that are caving to their demands. They're going to pay them, give them free housing. But again, it doesn't matter the who. But I was in the car. If I'm in the car, I'll put on the radio. I don't deny that. I'm sure they deny ever listening to me. But it was down the dial. It was the cackle, and I actually heard the words. And I'm glad I did because if I had not heard and someone told me, I would have said, like, I don't, not sure I believe that. But anyhow, she said when she sees a panhandler, she gives them money for something about because she's Catholic and thinks, what if that's Jesus? Folks, let me explain something. And I'd be happy to listen. I'm Roman, right? 12 years of Catholic school. It Christ coming back to earth. He's not going to be living at Motel 6. He's not using drugs and alcohol. Jesus isn't panhandling. Jesus worked with the poor. He worked with the downtrodden. He did. His greatest gift was love one another as I have loved you. Kindness. Jesus preached. God sent his only son to preach how to live a fulfilling life. And I heard something recently, and I think it was that Jordan Peterson saying, listen, I know that some people doubt whether or not, the atheist, if there's a religion, but even, let's just say there isn't. The principles that Christ taught on still lead to a productive life, right? The things, whether it's the Ten Commandments or the other teachings, the trappings of wealth, theft. But Jesus wouldn't be a panhandler. I give the money. What if that's Jesus? I don't know what Christ would be doing if right now Christ was on earth. I would imagine preaching somewhere, right? He wasn't panhandling outside the wedding in Cana. The apostles would not be at Motel 6. The apostles wouldn't be shooting up. Like, what are you talking about? When you give money, it's really simple. When you give money to a panhandler, it's you feel falsely, falsely that you did something good. Even though they're going to use the money. It's a false feeling that they're going to use the money for drugs or alcohol. But it gives you the illusion you're helping them. But that's why you see the same people every day. You're helping them continue to do nothing, is what you're doing. Christ wouldn't be drinking and laying around. Christ wouldn't be laying in a doorway. Jesus talked about, loving, and I don't want to get too far into it, but like, what a statement. You don't give those people money. It's fake. Remember those old Sally Struthers films? A penny a day. These kids are starving in Africa. Why do people call? Because it makes them feel good, like they're helping, even though most of the money was not going to that cause. But that's what it is. The giving meters in hear me out. The giving meters in Providence failed. And I said it from the very beginning. When Mayor Lorza put in those giving meters, I said the problem is the whole reason someone rolls down the window and hands the person whatever it is, spare change, $1.05, is it makes them think that they're a good person. That's why they do it. It was like the Jerry Lewis telethon, right? People, they feel good. They feel they've done something. There's a shooting somewhere in Paris, and someone puts on Facebook or Twitter, Instagram, hashtag prayers for Paris. What have they accomplished? Nothing, but they feel that they've done so. It's all about the feeling. When you give money to a panhandler, it's not about them because you're not helping them. It's about you. What if that's Jesus? Jesus is not sleeping in the Stop and Shop parking lot. Jesus is in panhandling. Um, that's interesting. Maybe panhandlers should hold a sign. What if I were Jesus? I don't know. Maybe that's a racket that works. It's like the guy, how many times you see there's the guy in the wheelchair and he's got a blanket over him, veteran, and it looks like he lost a leg and he's got the can and everyone's donating. And what happens when the rush hour traffic goes? Guy takes the blanket away, gets up and, walks away at two legs. The whole thing is a fraud. He's not a veteran. And he didn't have one leg. They do it because it works. They do it because they're trying to get you to donate. That's what it is. What if it's Jesus? I'd never heard that before. Folks, I mean, I can't assure you of everything, but I assure you, Jesus was not sleeping at the Cranston Street Armory. Jesus would be productive. Jesus was with the poor. He would try to lead the downtrodden, but he wouldn't be joining them. He wouldn't be panhandling on Broad Street. He'd be trying to encourage those people to utilize the gifts that God gave them to try to achieve the potential they have. I thought to myself, I called a friend of mine. I'm like, you got to hear this. What if that were Jesus, passed out laying in the doorway? Listen, at the wedding in Cana, Jesus turned the water into wine. He didn't drink all the blanking wine, right? The new homeless thing. Jesus turned grass into cannabis. He and the apostles were often high. No, no, no. There were no edibles at the Last Supper, and they weren't panhandling in the streets of Bethlehem or Jerusalem. I assure you. No, no. He would be encouraging those people to live a productive life, not be. It's really simple. There are people that are gaming the system. If you see a stray dog and you feed the stray dog, do you think it's going to leave? No, it'll just keep coming back. Just keeps coming back. It's what it is. You know why they stand out there and panhandle? Because people give them money, right? The old adage. They ask the bank robber, why do you rob banks? That's where the money is. They wouldn't go there if there was no money. Folks, this portion of the John DePetro Show, and it's brought to you by Propane Plus. Call them today. Propane Plus, heating and cooling, Rhode Island and Massachusetts, 401 885 4209. In Massachusetts, 508 252 3359 for Propane Plus. 3 generations, heating and cooling. Call Propane Plus today, residential or commercial. You put in your zip code, and boom, you're in business with Propane Plus. Always there for you. Very user-friendly website. Check them out. propaneplus.com. 401 885 4209 or 508 252 3359 for Propane Plus. Well, folks, good afternoon. And listen, everyone's entitled to their own religious beliefs. I get that. But I just think a lot of people have misconceptions. And this is not a religious program, despite what some people have said. But I don't get into religious discussion. I have my beliefs. You have your beliefs. Other people, but I think there are some people that have mis misunderstanding, if you will, of how God works, how everything works. And part of that, admittedly, is, and I've told the story before. It was, I went to St. Paul's School for 8 years. I went to Bishop Hendricken, um, and I still go back to, and it was mostly at Bishop Hendricken where you took religion as a class. And I go back to, he was a great teacher, Brother Muller. Hendricken had some fantastic teachers: Jay Brennan, John Jackson. Um, I could go on and on. Mr. Berry, Brother Sheehan, Brother Morgan, Miss Martell for French. But Brother Muller used to tell the story where he was trying to explain about man's free will. They would often talk about that, man's free will. And so much of that is lacking today, where people think they're just a piece of a puzzle, like a game piece on a board. And there are people that, now I fully get it. I mean, I'm not going to get into a whole thing about astronomy and everything else, but Brother Muller, again, used to say it would drive him nuts. Grew up, he had lived in New York, and they said a drunk driver would jump the sidewalk, take out a 5-year-old on a big wheel or a little tricycle. And he said it used to drive him nuts. The old Irish women in the neighborhood would say, well, that was God's will. And he would say, no, 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 that wasn't God's will. That was man's will. That was man's free will. The person driving the vehicle, he drank too much. He was careless. And then he jumped the sidewalk and took out that. God didn't have that child killed. God's will. It's ludicrous. But I've talked about that. There are people that, you know, Jesus, take the wheel. It's all in God's hands. I heard someone on television. This stuff, like, it jumps out at me that their child's team lost the game. And they said, well, honey, God decided the other team needed the win more than you do. No, no. Maybe the other team practiced more. Maybe the other team had better players. Maybe the other team had better coaches. Maybe the other team just got lucky. But God didn't decide the outcome of the game. Well, it looks like God wanted the Heat to beat the Celtics last night. No, wrong. Brady goes to Tampa Bay. Well, it's God's will. No, it wasn't God's will. He made a business decision, and the Patriots made a business decision. Jesus, take the wheel. Well, it's in God's hands now. Oh, good. Yeah, and quite a hand you've given him. Folks, like we've said, the old joke, the flood's coming in. Guys like, God will save me. They drive by like, sir, you got to evacuate. God will save me. Coast Guard, now the flood, he's getting up there. Coast Guard come by. No, God will save me. Helicopter, grab the rope. God will save me. He drowns. Goes to heaven. He's like, God, what happened? He's like, what do you mean what happened? I sent the sheriff to get you. I sent the Coast Guard to get you. Get the helicopter. You decided not to leave. God's will. Maybe that's Jesus. Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly right. Jesus is living at Motel 6 in Panhandling near Warwick Mall. I, no, no, no. That is someone who, for whatever reason, um, is not utilizing the gifts that God gave them. And as I've said in the past, folks, and let me just put a period at the end of this. If someone has a drinking problem, then then they need treatment for that. If someone has a drug problem, for that. But we have a lot more people now that are just not so bad. Not so bad, right? Anyone, a game is sold out, and you go to Fenway or wherever, not that they're selling out Fenway anymore, and you buy a standing room only ticket. It's not a seat, but you're into the game. And what do they, you know what the people say? Not so bad. It's not great, but at least I'm in. And I can't sit down, but I can stand, and I'm inside the ballpark. So they're kind of like that. Not great, right? It's kind of loud at Motel 6. Um, but at least I have a place, and I get, whatever it is, 1,000 a month disability, and then I get EBT card. I get a free phone. I know where I can get some free clothes. I know where during the course of the day you can get free food. It's not great, but it's not that bad. And I don't have to work. So there's more people falling into that. And let me just round it out with this. There's no way you're going to tell me that that guy who is living at Motel 6 on Jefferson Boulevard and panhandling in front of the malls, please don't tell me it's God's will, that he's all part of God's plan. I don't believe that. And if that were the case, who would worship a God like that anyway? All right. Maybe it's Jesus. So I better give the money. Oh, okay. Then Jesus what? Gives you the wink. Hey, thanks. By the way, thanks for not blowing my cover here. I'll remember you when you want to get into the big house up top. Don't worry. I'll square you with St. Peter at the gate. I give money to panhandlers because I think maybe that's Jesus. Folks, that's not Jesus. Okay. Um, this, I mean, that's an all timer. But you know what I like about that observation is and hear me out, it's not a talking point, not that I'm aware of. You don't read that somewhere. That's like someone's actual belief. It's someone like that's her actual belief. I think that's really interesting because if on television, you have people that watch the nightly shows on Fox and then they formulate, okay, here's what I say about the Hunter Biden. Here's what I say about Biden. Here's what I say about that. And everything this spewing, it's just all rehearsed. So they listen to other shows, okay, this is wrong, blah, blah, blah. But what I like about that is just one of those unscripted moments where someone reveals, like, so you believe that. That's Jesus panhandling in front of the Warwick Mall or Midland Mall and living at Motel 6. Huh, really? That's interesting. Maybe I will do a live stream. Maybe you can do a miracle. I realized the guy that passed out in Kentucky Fried Chicken, maybe that's one of the apostles. I don't think it is. I don't remember. I think I may have missed that part of the New Testament. Is that in Luke where they talk about panhandling and taking fentanyl? Or is that in Mark? Folks, this portion of the John DePetro Show brought to you by Limitless Outdoors. Call them today because remember, you want to utilize your outside space. Limitless Outdoors, 401 580 1852. 401 580 1852. Limitless Outdoors, free quote. They specialize in patios, walkways, steps, outdoor kitchens, landscape lighting, retaining walls, lawn installation, excavation. Limitless Outdoors. Remember their slogan is dream, build, enjoy. And call them. Invite them to your home. Chris will come out. They're very talented. Let's look at your space. Maybe you want an outside kitchen. Maybe you want an outside fireplace, fire pit. Why not have a nice patio? All right, so you only use it 6 months a year, but it's much easier than having a room added into your house. Limitless Outdoors, 401 580 1852. Now, folks, good afternoon. So tonight we'll monitor the news and do Facebook. We have the body cam video up. And tomorrow night, Friday night, 8 to 10, boom, 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 Cranston PD Live. I want to also tell you about Yankee Tree Service. Now is the time. Don't wait till heavy winds come. Yankee Tree Service and Removal. Call them today, 401 439 6028. We had a tree. We have many trees, but we have a tree that was basically serving no purpose. And the branches started to fall down, and then it's all the leaves. And why put up with it? Boom, 2 hours took them. Yankee Tree Service, 401 439 6028. Call Rob and Company, the tree trimming experts in Lincoln. Get a quote, 24 emergency service. Yankee. You can depend on Yankee Tree Service. Tree removal, stump grinding, tree pruning. They went right up in the bucket truck. And what I also like about Yankee Tree is they said, Juan, this tree over here, the base is rotted out. So they're going to take that out. 401 439-6028. I'm going to share them on Facebook, but they're fantastic. They've done work for me every year. Yankee Tree Service in Lincoln, 401-439-6028. Well, right now it's 12:59. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to break for the 1 o'clock news, find out what's happening in the world. Next hour, our legal analyst, attorney Tim Dodd. You don't want to miss this. Talk about Rachel Rollins. Talk about the Marine in New York, the security guard in San Francisco. Also, Councilman Matt Riley case. Next hour is radio only, AM 1380, 99.9 FM. You can listen online at the website, depetro.com. Back on the other side after the 1 o'clock news.